Hello, everyone. My guest today is Christopher Miglino. He's the CEO and founder of Srax. He has spent the past 20 years working in digital advertising space and has successfully launched and sold 2 internet companies. Both these companies were sold to publicly traded companies on the NASDAQ. He has detailed understanding of how technology interacts with brands, again, now building this one, allowing consumers to control personal data. Christopher, you ready to take us to the top?
I am.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
So this is obviously a very hot, kind of controversial topic right now. What does Srax do and what's your revenue model? How do you make money?
So our core business is in aggregating data around different verticals. So over the last 10 years, we've been aggregating data around different core verticals. And most recently, we've launched over the last couple of years a platform that will allow consumers to own and monetize their own data. Because we understand what data we're buying in the marketplace. We understand how the consumer is being taken advantage of in the marketplace. So we launched a platform that lets consumers own their own information and then get compensated for sharing that data.
Okay, so are you exclusively B2C, or are you selling to are you selling this data, rolling it up and anonymizing it and doing any B2B stuff?
We are doing B2B. So what we do is we'll take the business to consumer data, put them into a lot of people don't understand how the data business works. Data comes in what are called segments in the digital advertising space. Segments are different pieces of data about how the consumer is seen. So you have, you're a male, you are a certain age, you make a certain amount of money, you shop certain places. Every time you use your credit card, every time you go into a certain location with your phone, that drops you into different segments. Those segments are then sold back to marketers that are looking to reach those types of consumers. So we've created that infrastructure that allows that to happen.
So you're paying consumers, right? They're not paying you?
Correct. Consumers, we pay consumers. Historically, what's happened is we buy data from the big data sellers. So companies like Experian and Oracle and Facebook all sell access to certain amounts of data. Okay, so we take that information. Instead of paying those providers for that, we pay it directly to the consumer.
Say that one more time. You pay for data from Experian and Facebook and do what with that data?
Well, no. Historically, what we've done we've bought data from aggregators of data. So Experian, Oracle, Axiom, these are all people that consolidate a bunch of different data together and sell it to marketers. Now, the consumer doesn't get compensated for any of that. So the challenge, and nor do they even understand that their data is being sold in so many different ways. They don't know that when they go and shop at a certain store, that store is then reselling their data.
Yeah. So Christopher, sorry, I think I get it now. Just to be clear, historically, your model has been you spend money to buy data from Facebook, Experian, Axiom. You then sell that to marketers. Your new product basically removes you having to pay those guys. Maybe you still do, but you now actually will pay consumers directly for their data. So you are becoming a Axiom, Facebook, or Experian.
Right, with consumer opted-in consent. So the challenge that all those other those players face is that the consumer doesn't really understand what they're getting into in that relationship. Whereas in our platform, they fully understand the relationship. They fully understand that they're putting their data in the platform in order to be monetized and protected.
Okay, so you pitch me on this. Nathan, sign up for our consumer thing. What data am I going to give you and what will you pay me for that?
So you're going to give us all your basic demographic information when you sign up. So you're going to say, okay, this is my basic address, my email address, my phone number. And then as you get into the application starts to ask you more questions based on things that we think you might be interested. So it'll track where you're going and it'll say, oh, yesterday, did you go to Hugo Boss or did you go to Nike? And you'll say, oh, yeah, I did go to Nike. And then I'll say, okay, what did you buy at Nike? Did you buy something at Nike? And then it'll ask you a variety of different questions like that. One of the things,
Christopher, are these actual questions in like a web form, or am I installing like a Srax app on my phone and you're automatically able to capture this data after I told you you can automatically capture it?
Both. It's a combination of both of those things. So you're installing an app, and there's a desktop version of this as well. And then you are answering questions inside the application as we're tracking your location, and you've consented to that location tracking. Consumers don't understand that Google and everybody else is tracking location data and selling that back into the marketplace.
So what do I get paid for this? What do you pay me for it?
So I've been on the application for around 2.5 months. I've made around $850 in the app, but obviously I'm pretty active in the application. But consumers are paid not only for their own data, but they're paid for data of anybody that you bring into the platform as well. So it's like if Facebook would have said to you 12 years ago, 15 years ago,
get paid for all your friends.
Yep.
So what's the average? What's the average? You're a power user. What's the average consumer is what, making like $50-$60 a month from your platform?
Yeah. That's around a good number of what people are making. And the good part is you don't need to continue to participate. If you want to just be a consumer that downloads it once, puts your information in, never touches it again, then you're still earning money as time goes on.
How many consumers have opted in so far?
We haven't given those numbers out. We're a public company, and so we're giving those numbers out in our first quarter earnings call, which is coming up on May 15th.
Ignore the actuals. I mean, what's the target? I'm sure you put out targets for this, right? Are you trying to get like 1 million people or 1,000 or?
No, our first goal is 500,000 people. And then because we think we can start to monetize after 500,000 people. We had a platform that we sold last year for $52 million that had around 400,000 doctors in it.
What was the platform and why'd you sell it?
So it was focused around the pharmaceutical industry and aggregating doctors that were prescribing certain types of drugs. It didn't fit the model of paying doctors for their data because that's illegal. So you're not allowed to pay doctors for their information or for their attention span, which you can do with consumers. So doctors are under a lot more scrutiny in that area. So it didn't really fit. Plus, it was a great exit for us. We started that from zero, and we got.
You didn't acquire that much at a much smaller stage. You actually launched that from nothing.
Yeah, we launched it from nothing. Like our other verticals, we have a vertical around investors. We have a vertical that's around auto. We have one that's around shopper. That's been our biggest vertical. And then we have one that's just a core. So those are all natively grown inside the company. So separate and apart from what you and I are talking about, those are other pieces of the business that we do.
And so how much time do you think you need? You just launched this 2 months ago. How much time do you think you need to get your first 500,000 consumers signed up?
We went through, it's been like a learning process of changing things in the application. So we went through the alpha, went through the beta. We discovered that we need to change some things UX, UI. So those things are happening right now. Once we're done with that, we think that we're ready for the full marketing blast around it. And there's a bunch of different partnerships that are B2B partnerships that are happening. So our B2B partnerships are you are a brand with a bunch of names. You had a little box at the bottom corner that said, yes, you can market to me, right? But it wasn't consensual for the consumer. They don't understand that you're actually taking their data and marketing back out to you in the future. We're revalidating that information, partnering with brands and saying, look, let's pay your consumers that are in your CRM and turn what was a cost center for you, where you're needing to pen data from Experian and all these other players, into your data set and turn it into a revenue generating stream.
So Christopher, true or false, GDPR is actually a blessing for you, because when people see the things across the bottom of websites that said accept cookies and everyone clicks accept, right? You're essentially actually legally getting the right now to do this, where in the past people would try and hide it. You actually love GDPR.
Yeah, it's fantastic for us. And there's and for those people that don't know, the GDPR is the European privacy laws, and those laws are coming to America in a big way. It's a very political issue, obviously, because people are using Facebook to win elections, and this is something that's we're very active in. And guide the litigation, and not the litigation, but the bills that are being created around this.
So, Christopher, what do you mean? Do you think you're at 500,000 consumers by the end of this year? You think, or no? You need longer.
Oh no, definitely by the end of this year.
Okay, very good. All right, take me back to your
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. End of year 2019. No, that's great. You are public, so just download some of the numbers for me because I haven't done the research. So, total revenue last year was what?
Last year we did $26 million in revenue, and but we had, this is now when you say last year for us, because we're releasing our annual numbers in around 5 days from now. So you're looking at a 2017 number, not a 2018 number. So the 2017 number that's publicly available was a $26 million.
And what did you, in your guidance, what did you say growth rate year over year would be?
So for this year, we anticipate revenue to be in the $20 to $25 million range, but we sold the pharmaceutical business, which was contributing to the year before. So we'll be pari passu for where we were before, even without the business that we just sold for
Sorry,
52
I
million.
meant you said in 2017 total was 26 million. You gave guidance on what growth would be for 2018. You're going to release the actuals in 5 days. What was the guidance number on the 26 million growth? Like to what?
We hadn't given guidance for the 2018 numbers. So there wasn't guidance out there for the 2018.
I thought every public company gave guidance.
No. In fact, a lot of small cap public companies don't give guidance at all. So for 2019, we did give guidance of 20 to 25 million. So we took our sales team from 6 salespeople to 30. So we've increased the sales team significantly.
What's total team size?
The total team size between the sales guys and technology, we were around 140 people.
140. That's total though, right? Everybody?
Correct. Yep.
And then, so it sounds like you're about flat in terms of actual revenue. However, your cash position drastically increased, assuming the $52 million sale was an all cash deal. You released, I think, basically cash equivalents in this reporting. What was cash equivalents pre-sale and post the $52 million sale?
So we got in the transaction, we got $31 million in cash. Mm-hmm. We got an earnout that we find out about in around 10 days from now, whether we hit the earnout, and then we still own 30% of that business. So we still own a 30% ownership in that business.
Interesting, really interesting. But it's being run now under who bought it?
A private equity firm called Halyard Capital bought the company.
Interesting. Okay, very cool. Walk me through. So like I just had Manny Medina on right before you, who's building Outreach, right? And they're pushing $100 million in ARR. And he's saying to go public, we really need about $200 million in ARR. How did you end up public and why are you public with such little revenue? Wouldn't you rather be private?
No, I think there's always been good opportunities in being public. It depends how you approach it, right? What I never did was I never took a dollar from any venture capitalists. So I have no VCs in our transaction. So what happens is the VCs, fund early, and then you kind of get caught in that need to continue to take money from those VCs as you move on.
So you were bootstrapped into going. What year did you go public?
We went public on NASDAQ in 2016.
Okay, and you own 100% of the company, basically bootstrapped at that point.
We did, yeah. We took money in. We were public on the OTC. We went public on the OTC. We self-registered onto the OTC and then built up enough shareholder equity to get to NASDAQ and then listed onto the NASDAQ exchange without doing a deal.
NASDAQ in 2016. How much did you raise on day one in the IPO?
So when you self-register and uplist onto that, we didn't raise any money. We just self-registered onto the platform. So nobody was taking money out. It was just a other vehicle to allow us to continue to raise money in the future and to use the currency for acquisitions. Yeah,
well, and also now you can acquire talent on your team, and there is a liquid market for their equity as they grow it, right? That's a huge upside as well.
Correct. Yeah, the stock trades. It has its days where it trades 200,000-300,000 shares, and so there's liquidity there in the stock if people want to get out of it.
What's the market cap today?
It's around $25 million, so it's a really low market cap.
Why is it so low?
Cash though. You got me. You should go buy some.
Well, so let me ask you a question, right? Vista Equity, they just raised $14 billion. They're the biggest buyers in kind of the B2B SaaS space, unless you get like the Thoma Bravo kind of folks and maybe Envision Fund kind of folks, SoftBanky. If one of them offered you, I don't know, a premium of call it 40, 50 million bucks, how do you analyze potentially, a take private scenario?
Well, you'd have to analyze that when it happens. So you can't speculate about it. There's been guys that have come and said like, hey, let me, take it private for X amount of dollars. And, we've historically said no to those type of things because that comes with a lot of teeth as well. So we think that as people start to recognize the value of what we're doing inside of the big token business and in our other verticals, that we'll start to see the benefit of that in the marketplace.
Of the 26 million kind of historical revenue over 12 months, that's almost 100%, right? B2B, you're selling your data to other companies versus the consumer stuff.
Yeah, so there's been zero B2C revenue in there. That's all B2B business.
I screwed up that question. What I'm actually trying to figure out, you have engineered a margin for yourself based off what you know you can sell. Like if you pay me $50 a month, you know you can sell my data for $100 a month to like the B2B, like the other business you're selling it to, right? What margin have you engineered for yourself? What is the spread versus what you're paying consumers like me to give you data versus what you're selling it for?
50%. So we give 50% of the money to the consumer.
Okay, that's pretty healthy. So you have kind of margins built in there of 50%.
Correct, and I mean that's typical what happens now, right? Like when I buy media for a campaign, I'll typically pay $1.50, $2, maybe $3 per thousand for the media, and then I have to buy the data on top of that, which is going to cost me $1.50, $2, $3, up to $7, depending on what kind of data it is. So that's a cost of goods sold that was built into the business before, which is now just going direct to the consumer.
Yep. Interesting. Real quick questions here. Launch date of the company was what?
We launched in March of 2010.
2010. And then how many B2B customers today?
B2B customers?
Yeah, like people that are making up your 26 million revenue. How many?
I'd say probably around 500 or so. Okay. I don't have the exact number.
That's okay. But the reason I'm asking is I can then just take 26 million, right, divided by 500. They're each paying you like 50 grand a month, 52 grand a month on average.
You have the 80-20 rule. So, there's a lot of people that pay a lot more and a lot of people that pay a lot less. So you have some marketers that are used to spending money and some marketers that are just getting started.
Yeah. Very interesting. And your biggest competitors are probably what? Experian, Axiom, Facebook, right?
They're frenemies. So, we buy a lot from them.
Have any politicians bought your data for the 2020, especially like Democratic kind of 2020 stuff?
Not yet.
But you're smiling big. This election cycle, you make a lot of money from this, hopefully.
I mean, consumers are very interested in this election cycle and they want to voice their opinion about where they stand on it. And marketers want to buy that data. And the data that politicians have historically purchased has been
it's shit.
It's registration data about registered Republicans, registered Democrats, people that voted in primaries. So our platform provides for a solution for more detailed questions on specific issues. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this other issue? So we can then start sending campaigns to those individuals targeted around their answers.
Yeah. And in a world where in order to win, right, the kind of electoral college, you can only maybe need 70, 80, 90, 100,000 votes swing. I mean, so micro-targeting is a real thing if you figure out how to do it strategically, and having data like what you have means it's very powerful.
Yes.
So when are you announcing? So when are you announcing that you're running for president?
It's never going to happen.
All right, Chris, let's wrap up with the famous five. Number one, what's your favorite business book?
I like Richard Branson's Leaving. Is it Leaving My Virginity? Or Losing My Virginity? I like Think and Grow Rich.
Good. All right, number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
I love following Richard Branson, Mark Benioff. Those are two people that I really love to watch what they're doing.
Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building the company?
I love our email platforms. I love any type of our marketing communication drip platform help salespeople communicate better with their prospects.
Christopher, what do you use?
I think we use Pardot for that.
Pardot, okay.
I think we use Pardot, yeah.
Number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I usually get around 6 or 7.
Okay, and what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
I have 4 kids and I have a wife. I'm married and I have an 18-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 11-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
Oh, you are a busy man. How old are you?
I am 50.
50. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Let's see. I would have told myself never to do business with certain financial people. So never take money from certain finance people.
Like who?
There's a world out in the public company small cap environment that is just ridden with people that do not have good intentions. So I would educate myself about that.
Guys, there you have it. Christopher launched Srax. Historically has bought data from Facebook, Experian, and Axiom, and then again, use that data to create interesting products. Now he's saying, you know what? We should go direct to consumer. We should be transparent. We should pay the consumer to give their data to us, and then we can build in a 50% margin to us. We'll give the consumer $50. We'll then sell it to another B2B brand or a politician for $100, and there's a $50 spread for us built in between there. Looking at scaling that right now, doing about 26 million bucks in terms of 12 months revenue. 500 customers, founded in 2010, went public, self-registered in 2016, and then went up on the NASDAQ. All right, very good, Christopher. Thanks for taking us to the top.